A third thing must also be held in mind in connection with our communications with the spiritual world. For besides waking life and sleeping life, there is a third state, even more important for intercourse with the spiritual world than waking and sleeping life as such. I mean the state connected with the act of waking and the act of going to sleep, which lasts only for brief seconds, for we immediately pass on into other conditions. If we develop a delicate sensitivity for these moments of waking and going to sleep, we shall find that they shed great light on the spiritual world. In remote country places, although such customs are gradually disappearing, when we who are older were still young, people were wont to say, when you wake from sleep, it is not good immediately to go to the window through which light is streaming. You should stay a little while in the dark. Country folk used to have some knowledge about contact with the spiritual world, and at this moment of waking they preferred not to come at once into bright daylight, but to remain inwardly collected, in order to preserve something of what sweeps with such power through the human soul at the moment of waking. The sudden brightness of daylight is disturbing. In the cities, of course, this is hardly to be avoided. There we are disturbed not only by the daylight, but also even before waking by the noise from the streets, the clanging of tramcar bells and so forth. The whole of civilized life seems to conspire to hinder our contact with the spiritual world. This is not said in order to decry material civilization, but the facts must be remembered. Again, at the moment of going to sleep, the spiritual world approaches us with power, but we immediately fall asleep, losing consciousness of what has passed through the soul. Exceptions do, of course, occur. These moments of waking and of going to sleep are of the utmost significance for communication with the so-called dead, and with other spiritual beings of the higher worlds. But in order to understand what I have to say about this, you must familiarize yourselves with an idea which is not easy to apply on the physical plane and which is therefore practically unknown. It is as follows. In the spiritual sense, what is past has not really vanished, but is still there. In physical life, people have this conception in regard to space only. If you stand in front of a tree, then go away and look back at it later on, the tree has not disappeared. It is still there. In the spiritual world, the same is true in regard to time. If you experience something at one moment, it has passed away the next, as far as physical consciousness is concerned. Spiritually conceived, it has not passed away. You can look back at it, just as you looked back at the tree. Richard Wagner showed that he had knowledge of this in the remarkable words, "Time here becomes space." It is an occult fact that in the spiritual world there are degrees of distance which do not come to expression on the physical plane. That an event is past simply means that it is farther away from us. I beg you to remember this. For man on earth in the physical body, the moment of going to sleep is past, when the moment of waking arrives. In the spiritual world, however, the moment of falling asleep has not gone. We are only at the moment of waking, a little further distant from it. We encounter our dead at the moment of going to sleep and again at the moment of waking. As I said, this is perpetually happening, only it usually remains in the subconscious. As far as physical consciousness is concerned, these are two quite different moments in time. For spiritual consciousness, the one is only a little farther distant than the other. I want you to remember this in connection with what I am now going to say. Otherwise, you may find it difficult to understand. As I told you, the moments of waking and going to sleep are particularly important for contact with those who have died.